Yo guys, what is up? What's going on? As you can see behind me, I've got the new ProLightz Switchback S4 Foglight Bezels installed on my WRX, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to install them. So let's take a look at some of the tools that you're going to need to do the installation here. To start out, you're going to need a socket wrench, of course, or a socket set like this one. Particularly, you're going to need a 10mm piece to be able to remove the front bumper. You can also need a flathead screwdriver or some sort of clip removal tool. I like this really nice long one that's thin because it has good leverage. And if you have a cordless drill or something like that to help get the bolts off the bumper faster, that might also come in handy. Now taking a look at everything that's actually included with the ProLightz S4 bezels kit. You've of course got the two bezels here, and let's actually peel off the front. This is a very satisfying feeling, pulling this off. Super nice, as you can see, a glossy finish that matches up perfectly with your front grille, either the OEM grille or the JDM grille. Then of course you've got all the wiring as well. So the full wiring harness, everything is directly plug and play into the OEM connectors, and it's actually powered by just a fuse tap here, or at a fuse line into the fuse box beneath your hood. And then a few controller modules, and we've got some additional wiring here if we want to hook up the OEM turn signals as well. So it all is straight plug and play basically. So to start off, guys, we're going to actually have to remove the front bumper. Doing so is pretty simple. You've got a few clips on each side, one on each side actually, right at the bottom of the wheel well, and one on the inside. You've got a few clips underneath, and then you've got some 10mm bolts on the top. I've already removed those, so go ahead and remove them, and then we're going to pull the bumper off the car. Alright, and then just undo these little clips. You might need to use a screwdriver because it's a very tiny little clip in there, but just push the tab down and pull it out like that. And then you can take the whole bumper and move it away. Alright, next up what we're going to do is take the wiring harness that's included, and on the end here you'll see 3 wires coming out, and this is where the add-a-fuse connection is. So we're going to route this up beneath the headlight here, from down where the bumper is, up to where the fuse box is near your battery. Then we need to actually remove this fuse box cover here. There's a couple clips on each side, so just pull those up and the cover will come off. Before we connect the add-a-fuse, I should mention that there are a few different ways to wire up the S4 bezels. The way we're doing it is assuming that the car is stock without a DRL harness. If you've got a C-Lite DRL harness, you'll actually want to connect the power wire to that harness. But instead, because this is just stock, we're connecting ours to the fuses under this fuse box here. Now there are a few different fuses that we can connect to depending on how we want the lights to come on. If we only want the bezels to come on with the DRLs or the high beams, you'll want to connect to this blue 15 amp fuse up here. If we want them to come on with the low beams or projectors for my car and the high beams or DRLs at the same time, you want to connect it to this green 30 amp fuse up here. So for my WRX, I'm going to set it up with the low beams or the projectors. So you want to use this little white fuse tool that's actually in here and take out the green 30 amp fuse, pull it up, put this fuse into the add-a-fuse here, just like this. Then simply insert the add-a-fuse piece into that fuse spot, just like that. Then we can put the fuse panel lid back on. And then guys, we're going to connect the black wire onto the negative of the battery. Once the negative wire is connected, this last remaining wire, the white wire, is just a signal wire. So for me, I'm not actually going to use it, but what this does is you would connect this to another source like your DRLs or headlights or your fog lights, and so it'll switch off the fog light bezels whenever another source switches off. Next, we're going to route the wiring. So I'm going to leave this side here for the driver's side and just run this length of wire over to the passenger side. The way I'm going to do that is just tucking it in behind the light bar that I have. Next, what I'm going to do is connect these two control modules, one on each side. Doesn't matter which side you have them on. Next, what we need to do is just simply pop off the OEM bezels. If you just push them from behind and undo some of the clips, they pull out very easily like that. Then what we're going to do is take the new bezel and clip it into place, making sure to route this little wire through the back. Next step we're going to do is actually connect all the wiring. So on this side we've got the OEM connector coming from the vehicle. And then here is our wiring harness for the S4 bezels. And we've got the control module connected here, and then this end connects into the actual S4 bezel down here. So connect that. Next, you have to take out your turn signal, just like this. And on the turn signal, the actual bulb itself is a connector, so you want to disconnect this. As you can see, this comes off. Then we're going to connect this wire that goes to your turn signal to the harness on the bezels, just like that. If you'd like to use your original turn signal in conjunction with the S4 bezels turn signal, you'll want to use this included harness here, connect it to the turn signal, put the turn signal back in its place in the bumper. Then you'll take that end and connect it to the S4 bezels wiring harness. And there we go. Lastly, you'll want to connect your original harness back into its original connector like this. Now you've got a bit more wiring here to remove if you ever want to take your bumper off again, of course, but that's how it's done. Now let's do the other side. Show you guys again here on this side, taking the module here and connecting it to the S4 bezel, then disconnecting the turn signal harness clip here, connecting this up to the S4 harness, then taking this double-ended harness and connecting it into the S4 harness, and then the other end of that into your original turn signal, and then putting your turn signal back in place. And then lastly, original connector from the bumper to the car here, just like this. Now before we put our entire bumper back on and put everything back together, it's a good idea to test it out. So let's connect our negative on our battery here, and then turn on our lights. Nice. Let's also give the turn signals a quick test to make sure they work. Alright guys, so once you've actually tested everything out, you're going to want to go and tidy everything up. ProLightz actually included some zip ties, as well as some vampire clips here that'd be used if you have a DRL harness. But I'm going to go ahead and tidy everything up, put the bumper back on, and we'll be good to go. So let's go do that. Alright guys, there we have it. That's how easy it is to install the ProLightz S4 Foglight Bezels on your 2015 and up WRX or STI. The install is pretty straightforward and it took me about an hour and a half to do. All of the connections on the ProLightz kit are all direct plug and play to your OEM connections. The black gloss finish looks really nice and it matches up perfectly with my OEM front grille, and I know they also match up with the glossy JDM front grille. If you guys would like to check out the ProLightz kit, head on over to www.prolights.com. I'll also have a link below below in the description to these exact bezels. If you guys do have any questions about this, please feel free to drop a comment down below. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching.